Thank you so much for that fantastic story. So happy to have you with us this evening, and to have heard that. I mean, that was just a roller coaster to go from the lows of voting being potentially stopped because someone is late or somebody didn't get the memo, or there's a adult education principal with a lot of ego, to voting never stops and it's going to happen no matter what, even if it's 16 hours. I mean, that's just really fantastic. So thank you for that. And I wanted to ask, you know, does sharing this story with us, does this get you fired up to volunteer again? And can you tell us, what you're feeling about volunteering now?
So, in the first draft of the story, it had a different ending where I said that I'm done. Like, that's it. I'm not, I'm sorry. I really do believe in democracy. I just can't put myself through that. And then, as I was working through the story, I was like, no, you know what? It really does matter. So, writing this story made me go and call up my contact and sign up. And she was so happy to hear from me. So, this story has a happy ending because it actually affected me to work on it.
And that is the power of storytelling that we're always talking about here on Stories from the Stage Show. What a fantastic outcome there. And, a lot of people regard sort of poll workers as the gatekeepers of democracy. But right now, I understand that we're actually experiencing a shortage of poll workers for the upcoming election. And would you recommend that people, if they're able, and feel safe to do so, that they get out there and do that volunteer work?
Absolutely. It's incredibly important. And I think what's also viable is that teenagers could become poll workers. And it's a great way for them to understand how democracy works and how it happens and how you can be part of the process. So it would invigorate the knowledge of how we as Americans can vote. I mean, I think we're incredibly lucky that we have that power and that choice and that ability.
Absolutely. And, we've already talked about how storytelling is sort of, helps to allow you to become a poll worker once again. I'm just curious, how did you get into storytelling? What was your first sort of entree into that art, and, what does it mean to you? What draws you to keep sharing stories?
There's this really amazing story slam run by Korean American Story. They have different slams in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and it's about telling your story as a Korean American. And I really, so growing up, my grandfather told me stories about to help me understand my culture, and then also my oldest sister told me stories to help me understand my parents. And I grew up with these valuable, amazing storytellers, and I just knew, and I also love going to libraries, and I just knew how important it is to find a sense of belonging, a sense of community, and to just listen. Like, I love listening to stories. They're so powerful, and they teach you so much about life.
That is so true. I mean, I think we've even seen that multiple times just in tonight's event. So we absolutely agree with that here at Stories from the Stage. And, the value of storytelling, not just in the political, but the personal, the cultural, the arts, everything. I wanted to ask if you feel that your volunteer work as a poll worker has sort of influenced your daughter's civic engagement, and what do you think this all means to her?
I think she is so aware of politics. She wanted to see all the debates recently, and she has incredibly wise opinions about whom she wants to lead our country. So I'm very proud of her. And I also love how she can facilitate discussions and healthy discussions with her friends and with her peers.
Excellent, excellent. And hearing your story, it's so hard to not be very, very enthusiastic about voting. I love that refrain, voting never stops. How do you keep that enthusiasm alive? Given everything that has happened this year, everybody I think has gone through some difficult times this year and continues to do so. Obviously, just the very act of voting is very much influenced by events and the public health situation. How do you keep going? What gets you excited about this, and what do you say to people who might be less than enthusiastic about voting this year?
I always think about what the alternative is. I mean, I'd rather be happy and I'd rather feel like I have a say in my
Mhm.
future. So I don't know. I mean, I know that there are days where I feel things could be better because they could, but I think we can make things better if we're positive and if we feel we are capable and able.
Absolutely. There is no time to become despondent. It is no time to withdraw. As difficult as things might be. I think we all look forward to engaging in a way that we can, having a meaningful impact on our community, no matter where you're coming from on the political spectrum. So, very, very, very important there. Is storytelling something that you want to continue doing? I know that it's independent of as you work as a poll worker, but are you excited to keep on telling stories moving forward, regardless of the outcome of whatever may happen in November?
I am very excited to continue becoming a storyteller. I'm still very new to this world and to the craft. And I mean, I look at Donna, who I have enjoyed her stories for years. So it's just, I mean, I'm kind of in awe to be in the same program as her. Uh, I love storytellers. I find that they listen, that they are so open, that they share, they have so much knowledge and wisdom, and they're compassionate. I mean, there's this whole world out there of people who really care and who really take time to understand each other. So it's such a valuable community, and I would love to continue to be part of it.
Absolutely, fantastic sentiment to have. Being involved in this world, storytelling is great. It's so amazing to be able to share your story with receptive audiences. But I find even more valuable just all the opportunities that we have to listen and hear about, people's lives that are in experiences that are unlike our own. So thank you so much, MJ Kang. We really do appreciate you being with us this evening on Stories from the Stage.
Thank you so much.